We are officially in a housing recession. Numbers are down across the board in all major areas. Home builders' numbers are down and sales are down. Mortgage applications are down. Sellers are reducing prices of their standing inventory or resale homes. We're going to talk about what is happening and what I suggest for you to do in this normalizing market. Now, some of the things that are stopping people from buying are the higher interest rates, inflation, the cost of everything else costs more. So you don't know if you need to save more of your money. So instead of it going to your down payment, closing costs, saving for a house, you're kind of holding on to some of that cash just in case you may get laid off from your job or things are just more expensive. You have to spend more money in other areas. So let's watch this video all about what's happening with this housing recession. It's about 1 minute and then we'll talk about it.
And sales are down 20% from a year ago, but prices are still high. First-time home buyers feeling the impact. They typically make up about 40% of sales, but the data shows last month they represented just 29%. CNBC's real estate correspondent Diana Olick now with the newest snapshot on the housing market.
From home building to home sales to mortgage lending, all of those numbers are dropping, leading the chief economists from both the home builders and the realtors to call a housing recession. Single-family home construction was nearly 19% lower in July compared with the year before, and building permits, which are an indicator of future construction, fell 12%. This as builder sentiment went solidly negative.
The builders are done building single-family homes for a while now. Their job is to make sure they can sell that last 8 months of supply that they have that are either under construction or not started yet.
The sticker shock of much higher mortgage rates along with inflation have buyers stepping back quickly.
So one of the major things they said in this video for all of you considering new construction is that builders have stopped building single family homes because they're having difficulty selling their current inventory. So right now, Fannie Mae has said that there's about 9.3 months of new construction inventory available. When you have 9 months of inventory, then you're in a buyer's market, if you see by this graph. So we're really moving into that in new construction. So you want to be just really cautious when you're dealing with new construction. Some of the incentives may increase. So if you come in now and you're being offered certain incentives and it takes them 3 or 4 months to build your house, you don't know what they're going to offer other people in August and what they're going to offer them. Sorry, it's already August, but September, October, possibly. So you may want to try to add a special stipulation. It's very difficult. Let me tell you up front. It is very difficult to add stipulations to new construction builder contracts. But if you can, you could say something about you are eligible for any new incentives or price reductions in the term before you close. So try to see, or at least discuss it with them and see what they say and see if that's something that they would be, they would even consider. If not, you kind of just wait and see what happens and maybe buy some of that standing inventory if that makes you nervous. Let's see what the Redfin CEO, he's very entertaining if you watch any of his interviews, but this is what Redfin, and Redfin lists houses, they have a mortgage division, they have agents. So let's look at to see what he has to say about the housing recession.
Outlook on the housing market, and what is your outlook for, let's say, second half of the year, availability and affordability of homes? What are you expecting?
Homes are going to get more affordable. Prices are coming down. Sellers across the board are cutting their prices. The beautiful homes are the ones that are selling right now. The homes that have a funky layout are actually being withdrawn from the market. So the price drops are actually steeper than most people realize because of the selection bias. If we had to sell all the homes that we sold a year ago, prices really would have fallen. So that has led to more buyers coming back to the market. I think that it's going to be a fairly balanced market for the next few months until the Fed makes another move. But if the Fed...
Both clips, they said that they think that after a while, because people aren't feeling these, big reduction in sales price. So they're not seeing, a lot of list prices going down significantly. Although some sellers are having price reductions, the average overall, at least in July, home prices were still elevated. So let's look at this graph. They say for resale homes, there are 3.3 months of inventory, and that's up about 1 month. Let's go back to this graph. When you're above 3 months, you're entering a normal market. Now, this may not be the case in every area. Some areas were hotter than others, some areas were not as hot. So you really need to know in your market how many months of inventory is available. An agent can find this for you really, really quickly. If they can't, then you probably don't want that agent, but that's something that we have the data for if you are a licensed agent in your area. So you need to know what kind of market as far as inventory you're in. And I want to make a few suggestions. Number one is there's no major rush to buy. In the past 2 years, the rush was to lock in a very low interest rate. So you were willing to do a little bit more to get under contract. Maybe you were going to bid above appraised value. Maybe we're going to reduce some of those things. Right now, interest rates are in the fives. They have kind of normalized in the fives. They're going from the low fives, mid fives, high fives, but they're in the fives. In September is when the Fed meets again. There's already an anticipation of what the Fed is going to do, either a half a basis point or 0.75 basis points. So they're probably, pricing that in for the most part in the market. So just pay attention to that. But we probably will normalize in the 5% through the end of the year, more than likely. Okay. Number two, ask for what you need. So if you need closing costs, this is the time to ask. If you need down payment assistance and that's going to be part of your offer, then that's what you need to ask for. Also, lenders are also, all the mortgage lenders have had layoffs. They're not having as much business as they normally do. So your lender's pool of buyers are smaller. So you should really be getting really good customer service right now because they're not overwhelmed by so many buyers and so many mortgage applications right now. So you just, as we normalize, this is what happens normally. Normally, as an agent, I would ask for closing costs for my buyers. Now, an agent has to approach each home differently. So I did a good video on does the house have any offers? So how you approach a house that has no offers and how you approach a house that has a few offers is very different. But you can ask for things like closing costs. You can ask for things like repairs. That's what happens in a normal market. There's give and take, okay? So don't be afraid to ask for some of the things that you need just because you're so used to it being a seller's market. And if you're still in a seller's market where you live or in your price point, so say you're in a price point that is a very competitive price point in your area, it might still be a seller's market for that price point. So for example, in Atlanta, our average is like in the high 300s, but for homes that are 200,000, low 200,000, it's still a seller's market because there's not a lot of that type of inventory in the Atlanta market. So your price point may still have you in a seller's market. Another thing I want you to be willing to do in a normal market is walk away. You're not really in a strong negotiating position if you're not really ready to walk away from a potential home, or if you're not getting your offer accepted in the way that you would like to get it accepted. Then you just have to be willing to walk away. Inventory is increasing. You should have a lot more choices in this market. Sellers are still holding on to what their neighbor got last summer, that sort of thing. That was the peak. Now we're coming back to a more normal time where you might have to pay closing cost sellers, when you might have to do repairs. So you have to almost ask for your own price reduction. So when you're going in and you see that their home is staying on the market longer, then there's not a lot of people that want it at that price. So be willing to come in a little bit lower and see what happens. Now, they may say no to that, but I wouldn't come in at full price if you know there's no other offers on the table. Okay. I told you what to do with builders. Be cautious of any future incentives they may be offering other people, especially if they have a lot of standing inventory. And of course, the next two videos I want you to watch are one's about so you know what to do with a house that has no offers, and also how to buy a house with no money or very little money out of your pocket. These are the videos I want you to watch next, but we're walking into a normal market. Now, some markets you may not be there yet, but you need to prepare because the way you approach as a buyer or seller's market is very different than the way you approach a normal market. So get ready. It's coming soon, especially as it gets cooler and as interest rates may go a little bit higher with the Fed in September. Just be willing and be knowledgeable about what happens in a more normal market. I'm Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership. Please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week.